All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Nine Finger Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Dan Johnson. And today we have a different type of guest today because I think, Rob, you might be the first. So this will be my 1000th and 30th
Oh,
episode
wow.
of
That's
the
awesome.
Nine Finger Chronicles. And you might be my first ever, I guess, political candidate
All right.
on the show.
I'm honored. I'm honored. Breaking new ground.
Yep. There's plenty of time for first, even this far into the game. So,
Yeah.
I like it. So we have a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk to you about today, but it is customary here in the on the Nine Finger Chronicles to have a good old fashioned BS session up
Yeah.
front before we do so. And
Good.
I have two topics I want to talk about. The first
Good.
one you kind of brought to my attention, and that was your love of 125 grain broadheads.
I remember a long time ago looking at 100 and 125, and I was just like, why wouldn't you want the 125?
Right.
And I get the debate.
Yeah.
And I don't. I like listening to hunting stories, so I like listening to podcasts where people are talking about hunting. I like listening to stuff about like nature. I'm not I'm not a gearhead for bow stuff. I pay attention to what I'm using. Um, I remember there was a moment where I thought like, yeah, maybe I'm into the light arrow. You want the fast arrow. You want it to get there. I just you either got the drop on that deer that you're shooting or you don't.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the heavier arrow, the slower arrow is gonna be the difference maker. I'm much more of a believer that, having some extra punch in that thing and, flinging heavy arrows is
Yeah.
probably if you're gonna make a difference between a deer you recover and a deer you don't, it's gonna be
Yep.
because of the weight. And
Yeah.
so I've shot 125s, and I've got the insert, so I got a lot of front of center mass
Mm-hmm.
for a standard head, and then I've got the deep six micro diameter arrow coming behind it.
Gotcha.
And that setup makes sense to me because it's like you're walking on ice. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you put all the weight in one place, you break through more easily. If you spread the weight out, you're gonna hover more easily. So the micro diameter makes sense to me. I had tried without the insert. I tried getting some deep six compatible um, broadheads.
Mm-hmm.
Was not satisfied, did not think that they were, doing a good job, and so I switched to the inserts, and that's been good.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this brand or not, but you got to check out Day 6 arrows. They come with an insert. They're compatible for all broadheads. And like, I pride myself on, so I'm lucky because I got a 30-inch draw.
Yep.
I have
Us
I
us
shoot 70 pounds.
helps to be
And
a
so,
big guy, doesn't it?
yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, I pride myself on shooting a crowbar. I always joke I'm shooting a crowbar at an animal. And so not a lot gets caught up on my total arrow weight that I have. So, if you get an opportunity, go check out,
Yeah. All
Day
right.
6 arrows, man. They're
All right.
badass.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm shooting, the Easton Full Metal Jackets. That's
Yep.
what I've been shooting for a long time. I get set up at, have you been to Altoona Archery Field and Sports in Altoona?
No, I don't think I have. No.
That's the usual spot for me.
Yeah.
Mark Wagner owns it. His dad, Irv, ran it, and, uh, so talk a lot with him. There's another guy out there, Nick, and they've sold me my last couple of bows, and yeah, and then, there's a guy up in Elkader, Dave, who runs the Cutting Edge.
Mm-hmm. I've
He
heard of
turned
that one.
Yeah, he turned me on to these. It's kind of a bummer. He's actually gone to he had to cut his hours this year. I should look back and see why it was. I remember he told me, because he was doing it full time, and it's just been, tougher, so
Yeah.
he's had to do, more work outside the shop.
Yeah.
I think it had to do with just how much it how tough it got up there with the bridge being closed for a long time in Elkader.
Oh, oh yeah.
But he
That,
turned me on to these 4-blade, 125 grain Grim Reapers, and there's no collar on them. They're mechanical, but there's
mhm.
no collar. They open when they hit. they close on exit as they slow down.
Mhm.
I love them.
Yeah.
So that I try not to change my setup because I feel like if you change your setup, you gotta re-sight in your bow, you gotta
Yep.
come to that point of trust where you're like, "Yes,
Yep.
I'm gonna point this arrow at a deer and I'm gonna shoot." And that's just time that I don't feel like I have very often. And so I like if I got my setup and I feel like I'm happy, I'm like, "I'm not gonna change anything."
Yeah. Yeah. I've kept the same bow now for, man, I think this was my 5th year with my same bow, and I
Yeah.
used to be that nerd who was like, "I gotta have a new bow every single year. I gotta have new arrows, new like, just f from scratch every single year."
Yeah.
But then I had 3 kids, and I'm like,
Dude,
"Holy
yes.
cow, I have no time to do
Yeah,
anything anymore." So,
right. We got
yep.
we got I think we have at least one close in age. Don't you have an 8-year-old?
Yep, I got an 8-year-old.
I
Yep.
got we got 2 boys, they're 9 and 11, so
Okay. Yep, my
and
boy turns 11 in April. So,
although, I mean, this is that now I feel like we have come out of the rut of if you in my perspective, I think the younger, the smaller kids were really tough.
yeah.
But now my boys, I'll take one of them hunting with me. It's great quality time, and I also like I can't I know a lot of folks will take them when they're younger.
Mhm.
I do not like sitting in a blind. I wanna be outside to be outside, and
Yeah.
so I know that you can take kids with you and put them in the blind, and I just couldn't. I wanna be either sitting on the ground hunting or in a stand or in my saddle.
Yeah.
Um, and and now it's fun because they can come with me and climb the tree and hang
Yep.
out, and, we're getting to the place where, having one of them out there with me is a lot more fun than going by myself, actually.
Yeah. My daughter ran into a scenario this year where it's unfortunate because we had to get the DNR involved, but she pulled the trigger once and 2 turkeys were too close to each other.
No way.
So, one trigger pull, 2 dead turkeys, and then I did the right thing, called the DNR. They came over,
Yep.
confiscated one of them and did the right thing. But dude, my boy, like, I think he's gonna be the kid that starts to skip school when he gets his vehicle to go hunting. So, and I'll be like, I can think of a lot worse things kids are skipping school for
Yep.
than going hunting. So,
Yep. Oh,
so yeah.
is that the 8-year-old?
No, that's the 10, soon to be 11-year-old.
And so what did they issue you a ticket for it or kinda give you
No,
a warning or
no, he basically was like, this happens all the time.
yeah,
And then it was kind of like an educational moment, right? Where he's like, what we try to do is we try to put the bead on one of them and try to let that one separate from the group, and then you pull the trigger. You know,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it happens. And so he was the shout out to the Henry County conservation officer down there that uh, handled that for us. Just a real great guy. I know him from
yeah,
past experiences and stuff like that. So,
yep,
all right,
that's
so I do want to switch the tables to Iowa just for a second. My dad
sure,
used to travel a lot within the state. He sold steel buildings, right? Steel frame buildings. And his territory was parts of Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, and then the entire state of Iowa. And he had this book that was basically the diners, dive-ins, and drives
nice,
of the state of Iowa and all these different restaurants. So his goal was to try to visit all 99 counties and
that's
eat at these
awesome,
greasy spoons throughout the
yeah.
course of the year. Do you have any diners, dive-ins, and drives throughout Iowa's 99 counties that just like really stick out to you that you're like during the campaign trail you stopped there and had a good meal?
I do, I mean, I gotta go home first to Decorah,
Mm-hmm.
so if you're in Decorah, and I mean, it's a famous place, it's not a dive, but
Yeah.
Mood Pizza is absolutely my favorite, um, most of my buddies in high school worked there, doing delivery or making the pizzas in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely a classic. If you go a little west of there, in Cresco, I stopped in Susie Q's. That was fantastic. We
Mm-hmm.
were there. So that's Howard County. Just great prices and in good volume for what you're getting on your plate.
Yeah.
I always like to try to go to the canteen when I'm in Ottumwa. I mean, that's a pretty well known Iowa classic.
Yep.
And then I'm blanking on the name of this place. I'm looking at my phone here. Um, there's a spot in Ida Grove. Um, that's like it's a walk up. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna find it. I'm pretty sure it's Ida Grove.
Yeah.
We stopped there this year, and they got a for being a walk up place, like a window
Yeah.
experience, big menu and a lot of food, and it was really good.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
Um,
are you
here's
currently?
here's a fun piece of trivia for you.
Yeah.
I'll come back to Mabes. Mabes was Mabel White, the White family. At some point, and I don't know all the history, somebody in the family moved over to uh, Webster City and started Leon's Pizza.
Okay.
And so, Decorah is way up there.
Hmm.
If you're in Webster City, you can go to Leon's and order a Mabes regular, and they will make you basically a Mabes pizza at Leon's in Webster City because they like know the recipe. They know what you're asking for. They get it.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet that there's that lineage back
Yeah.
to the original. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I was fortunate, Sarah and Michelle are 2 classmates of mine from Decorah from growing up, and they live in Webster City now, so they let me know about that one, and it's a great cheat code, for if I'm in, like, North Central Iowa, I'm not all the way home, I can still have something real close to Mabes Pizza.
there you go. There you go. All right. Do you live in Des Moines now?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So you live in Des Moines. Have you been to the Flying Mango?
Yes, but we have not been there for years.
Okay. That
It's
when
good.
I,
They got great brisket, actually, is what
yeah.
I'd highlight if I was gonna highlight anything there.
Yeah, when I used to live in Des Moines, this was right out of college basically, when I worked for Wells Fargo. And so Flying Mango, the ribs there were
Yeah.
fantastic. Obviously, Jethro's has now become a staple. Have you ever attempted the Adam Eminecker
No.
challenge?
I
No?
knew exactly what you were gonna say.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Dude, I finished it one
Did
day.
you really?
Oh, dude. And then I was miserable for the next 2 straight days.
I believe it. See, I eat a lot, but, like, I'm more of, like, a 4 or 5 times a day
I
guy
gotcha.
than eat
Yeah.
the Adam Emmenecker. Like,
Yeah.
I've got a capacity issue, not an overall volume issue.
There you go. You have a really high metabolism, so you're
Yes.
burning. You're burning.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
gluttonous pig who just destroys whatever's in front of him. So,
So it's funny because yeah, we live in Des Moines, and so most of my hunting at this point is actually in the urban program.
yeah. And we're going
We
to get to
do
that
Yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
alright, alright,
Yeah.
alright.
We're going to get to that for sure. Um, and we might as well do it now. So,
Sure.
before we get into that, though, I do have to send a huge shout out to the partners of the Nine Finger Chronicles podcast, Wasp Archery. There's a broadhead that you need to check out. Wasp Archery, discount code NFC20 for 20% off. Vortex Optics, some of the best optics in the game, especially the customer service standpoint, their VIP warranty, all the good stuff's over there at wasparchery.com. Code Blue Sense if you're looking to do some mock scrapes, if you're looking for some scent elimination products, some real or synthetic deer urines, go check out codebluesense.com, discount code NFC20. Reveal trail cameras. In my opinion, some of the best cellular trail cameras in the game from just like an ease of use standpoint, getting everything set up and getting a trail camera out in the woods fully functional in a matter of minutes. So go check out tacticam.com/cameras, and then my company, fullsneakgear.com. Go check out, if you like t-shirts with deer on them, then go check out fullsneakgear.com. I'm horrible at marketing my own business, where it's like, if you like a t-shirt with a deer on it, then check out my company. Cool. So
I mean, I don't know, simplicity counts for a
e-
lot, I would say. I also gotta
exactly.
say, I think Tacticam is in Iowa, or one of their executives is up around Decorah, maybe?
Yes, they have, Tacticam is in Northeast Iowa. I'm not sure
Yeah.
how there's been a lot of change in the company, but yes, that's where
Okay,
a
okay.
portion of their business has been done. Yes.
I
Yeah. There's a
run I
lot of
run
brands. in Northeast Iowa, like
Yeah,
expedition
yeah.
archery is
Yep,
up there
yep.
too. So, yep. All
I
right.
I run a couple of reveals, and I really like them. All I was gonna
Yeah.
say too, you tell me, um, I used to be into the real thing for doe pee,
Yeah.
and I would always hit the end of the year, and I'd be like, "Okay, I paid for this bottle, and now I got half of it sitting here." And so I've kinda switched to synthetics because
Yeah.
I'm cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't wanna waste stuff. Do you think the synthetics are as good?
Well, I'll tell you this from me running mock scrapes with synthetic, well, it's preorbital gel. I
Yeah.
feel like I definitely feel like synthetics are good enough.
Good, yeah,
Um,
good enough. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
good. They're good enough.
Right.
However, I used to be kind of just like you, where I would buy the original. My buddy down in well, he's several years older than me, but Sam Calora. He's like in my opinion, if you're going to put a Mount Rushmore together of Iowa big buck killers, Sam
Uh-huh.
Calora is on that Mount
No,
Rushmore
that's awesome.
down there from Henry County. But he owns Miss Dopey,
Oh,
and Miss
sure.
Dope,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, Miss Dopey. I'd buy it from him, but then it would sit in my refrigerator, and my mom would get really pissed off at me because the
yeah.
refrigerator starts to smell like doe and
Yeah.
estrus
Yes.
throughout the course of November,
Not
and she's
not
like, "You
great.
got to take this out of here." So,
Yep, not great.
yep, yep. All right,
Better to have something that can just sit on the shelf in my little closet of hunting gear down in the basement where no one else goes and not stink.
fact.
Yep.
Yes, fact. Well, it's no doubt by now, like you slayed a giant this year,
Yeah, yeah.
and so I
Pretty
I got to
lucky.
find. Well, first off, I want to go back just a couple steps. How like how old were you when you started hunting?
Early teens. Well, early teens for bow hunting for deer.
Yeah,
But my dad and I will go out with squirrels for squirrels with 22. My grandpa's 22.
yeah.
Um, Probably when I was 10 or 9, and I was, shooting pop cans with a BB gun and making them pee from as early
Oh
as I
yeah,
can remember.
yep,
Um, I remember it's funny because I had to so when I found out about the urban program, you have to have taken a bow hunter safety education class at one point in your life,
yeah,
and I remember, um, my dad made me take one, and I'm pretty sure I was 14. I think it was '96, so that would be 14, right around there.
yep,
Um, and I remember I found out about the urban program, like, in the month of November one year, and I was like, "Oh, man, I wanna go hunt. I can just go hunt right here? Like, that's so easy," which is the best part about it. Your
yeah,
commute time to your stand is, like, minutes. And I was so grateful that my dad had me make that class because I could go hunt that year because I already had that certificate. I had to go back to the DNR, and I had to say, like, "Hey, can you pull this for me?" It's probably 20 year I guess at that point, it would have been close to 20 years old,
yeah,
but they were able to find it, and I was able to hunt that year because my dad made me do that back in the day, which gives me a really specific answer. I must have been 14 when I started.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's right around when I think I started a little bit earlier than that, but not too much. Like the first couple years, I didn't even know what I was doing. Like I didn't come from a hunting family,
Absolutely.
so it was like bought a bow at a garage sale with arrows that didn't match. I had a bucket, and my mom would literally park on a road, sit in her car as I honestly trespassed into some random
No
dude's
way.
field and thought that that's was all acceptable back in the
Yeah.
day. And so
Live and learn, don't you?
yeah, exactly, exactly. So, um,
That's cool. So you're a first gen hunter. I mean, we're all, like 100th gen if you go back far enough, but
yep,
my dad hunted. His real problem, I would actually fish a lot more with my dad, but we hunted too. His problem is he's red-green colorblind, which if you're doing early season is brutal
mhm,
because you're looking around and you're like, "Okay, that leaf looks wet," but it just looks
right,
wet. It's not like, "Oh, there's red blood." It's just like a wet leaf.
yeah,
And so we would go fishing a lot more than we would go hunting, but, hunting for me is what really stuck. I mean, you're in the woods, you see the deer. I like to go fishing, my boys like to go fishing, but if there was one thing I was gonna be doing if there's one thing I really look forward to doing a lot in retirement, it's bow hunting deer, and my to-do list is to get into more traditional. Like
Oh yeah.
I'd like to get just a recurve and be out in the woods all day and go early season when it's not hot, but it's not cold, and
Yeah. Yeah.
just
And
be
I
alone.
think that's the goal. There's this weird path. I'm currently on it as well, where I've shot the big bucks.
Yeah,
I'm now trying to teach my kids, like bring up that next generation.
yeah,
And
yes.
now I am also in this state where I am starting to like really get interested in putting the compound down
Yeah.
and pick up something more traditional.
Yeah,
And
and that's
so,
and that to me is, again, it's like it's the time commitment.
right.
Like, I know that it's more difficult, and I love that it's difficult. That's why I like bow hunting in the first place, is like, this is a real challenge. I
Hmm.
do shotgun season, most years, and I enjoy it, but it's not the same as
Right.
bow, and I don't have the same sense of passion for it. But yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. I literally it was much easier for me to take my boys out this year because I shot that big one in the
Yeah.
urban program this year at the beginning of October. It's been my goal to shoot. I've shot a bunch of Pope and Young bucks. It's been my goal to shoot a booner for a few years, and actually getting to check that box this year, it's now, taking them out there is now kind of the priority, because it's like, well, if we screw something up, it's not gonna be like I missed the biggest buck of my life. Like, I
Right.
probably actually shot that.
Right. All right. So the urban program, a lot of like, I live next to Iowa City. So
Mm.
Iowa City has an urban program. There's some urban programs up in Lynn County. Did you have to take like a 5 arrow accuracy test?
20 arrows.
20 arrows. Okay.
So it's 10 arrows from 15 yards, and it's 10 arrows from 20 yards, and you gotta hit and 80% of them gotta land within a 9-inch target. So,
okay.
it's not really hard. I mean, if you know what you're doing, if you're decent with the bow, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And and then to get a buck tag, there's a lot of different urban programs in the Des Moines metro area. So, like, West Des Moines has a program. I think a lot of the suburbs have a program. In the Des Moines program, you gotta take 3 antlerless deer to get into the lottery for a buck tag for the urban program for the next year. And so my standard priority every fall is I wanna fill those 3 antlerless tags, and then I wanna fill my statewide tag if I can, and hopefully I got into the program. But I don't find enough time to fill both my statewide bow tag with a nice buck and my urban bow tag with a nice buck. The only year I did that was 2018. I shot 2. Let's see, one was 159. Actually, I think no, one was 159 and one was 157, I think.
That blows my
Like
mind.
3 weeks apart. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
That's crazy. And so there's giant deer running around Des Moines Metro that are huntable, right? Hopefully,
Yeah,
there's not a group of like hunters
yeah.
out there that are like, Rob Sand, shut your mouth right now.
Uh, you know, you gotta put in the time. You
Yeah.
you got you gotta It's not the easiest thing to go harvest 3 antlerless deer. I'm gonna be out there tomorrow. I'm
Hmm.
probably gonna be out there, this evening. I still got 1 more tag to fill, and the urban season doesn't close till January 25th, so I got a minute to do it here. But,
Yeah.
uh and you gotta find the deer too. There's actually a guy, so mine ended up, after drying out, it netted 206. But Cameron Coble texted me. There's a guy whose deer he just measured from in the city here.
Hmm.
I should look it up. I think he said it measured 218. So that's two, and this is crazy.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen. So forever, all the big deer have been shot. Don't come signing up for the Des Moines urban program. But it's just wild to think that 2 people bagged a 200-inch deer
Yeah.
in Des Moines this year.
Yeah.
218 gross, 212 net was what he said.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And is the space limited, or is it literally just a ton of overpopulated deer in these areas?
So you can if you knock doors, which is what I did,
Hmm.
the really hard part of tagging this buck this year was scouting. And I'd
Yeah.
never done this much scouting before. I really put in a ton of effort into knocking doors, getting permission, looking at on X, figuring out, okay, he's in this neighborhood. If I were a buck over here, how would I travel from here to there? And so they do hunting in parks, so you can sign up to hunt in the parks, but you don't have to know somebody to hunt private property. You just got to be willing to knock on somebody's door.
Yeah.
I always lead with what are we experiencing here together? Hey,
Yeah.
we can solve a problem together. Des Moines has a deer overpopulation problem. I've been in the program for 13 years to keep those numbers down. I'm going to be hunting in your neighborhood, but I'd really love to hunt your property if that's okay. And some people tell you no, but other people tell you yes. And it's just a way of putting in work that, can help you get there.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you get, even if the properties are real small, if you get two people who are next to each other to both sign the document so that you could be in one property and shoot across the other, then you're going to be okay.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did so you shot the big deer this year, so that means that last year you shot all three of your does, and
Right.
now you got the bonus tag for the following year, and that was this year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So did you know about this buck from a previous years?
No. I put a post up on social media. It was like, "Hey, if anybody knows there's any big deer out in Des Moines, let me know."
Is that really what happened?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And this guy, because most of the people who follow me on social media, they're not
Yeah.
hunting in the urban program. This
Yeah.
guy sends me a picture of this deer in his yard, and I'm like, I practically wet myself. I couldn't believe the size of this thing, you know? Um, and it was in velvet, so the mass was
Looks
just
ridiculous. Yeah.
insane. But, I just okay, I had met this guy, like, 10 years ago at a party. Um, I was like, "What's your address?" I pull up his address, I'm on Onyx, and I'm just there goes my month a month of my whatever free time I have, you know?
Yeah.
And I hunt as soon as the season opened, I just went hard. By the time opening day came, I had him moving in daylight in 3 different spots where I had permission to hunt.
Okay.
And so depending on what the wind was, depending on, time of day, I felt like I had 3 spots where I could go where I might find him. But then it still took 2.5 weeks. I was out both weekends, all weekend long, other than a little lunch break in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But,
Uh,
yeah, it was, I never put that much work into one deer before, and I never hunted that much early season before either. It was
mhm.
fun.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I've never hunted in any type of urban type program. What's the difference between hunting people's backyards and knocking on all these very small parcels to get permission versus up in Decorah on some actual farm?
Mostly, I mean, honestly, truly, the
Yeah.
biggest difference is what you're looking at. When you're hunting out in the out in Iowa, you're looking at timber. You're
Mhm.
looking at a cornfield. You're looking at the horizon. In Des Moines, you might be in a park, but even in the park, you might be looking at joggers over on the trail. You might be looking at people walking their dog. But where I was hunting for this guy, you're looking at houses. You're looking at cars.
Yeah.
But the deer, for the most part, are not that different when they notice a person where a person shouldn't be, right?
Okay.
So if you're, they'll get habituated to you in your driveway. They'll get habituated to you on your deck to some degree. But that doesn't mean they're going to be close. But even
Yeah.
then, they're habituated because you're in that spot.
Yeah.
And I have time and time again gotten busted by a deer that seems very comfortable around people, but if they figure out there's a person up in that tree, they're going to freak out. They're like, "Why
Yeah.
is a person in a tree?" And they're looking at you. And then if they wind you, that's one thing. But if they see you when they notice that you're wearing camouflage, like people don't wear camouflage. What are you doing up there?
Yeah.
So they're still deer. They're still wild animals.
They're conditioned to certain amount of pressure, but it seems like the urban deer tend to be better at identifying really subtle differences in maybe your behavior, or
I
man, that there's a person there, but there's never a person there.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I think that's the difference.
Okay.
Because you can have, you can have a deer that is accustomed to seeing people in a parking lot, but there's a place that I hunt where I'm in a tree real close to the parking lot,
Yeah.
and if the deer see me in that tree, I'm busted just the same way I would be if they saw me in a tree, out in the boonies.
Yeah.
They're like, "Hey, you people belong in the parking lot. I don't like you being in the tree where I go. This is wrong. I'm going somewhere else." They're smart enough. And then you got
Right.
to deal too with, I've had a dog come in and chase away a buck before, and there's wrinkles in it that you have to adapt to. What's fun and what I like is at the end of the day, you're still sitting in a tree looking into some little piece of timber and, swaying in the breeze. So,
Yeah.
and
You're
and you
outside.
can't you're outside. Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
still mostly the same thing. In the program, you can't shoot from the ground. There's no ground hunting allowed. They want that arrow. If you miss, they want that arrow going into the ground, right? They don't want any
Right.
accident. And so it still ends up being that like your hunting situations are going to be where you are in an elevated position where a deer is not accustomed to seeing you.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. All right. So, how many days did you go after this particular buck before you got the opportunity to shoot him?
A lot. I mean, we were
Yeah.
2.5 weeks. Were we 2.5 weeks? I shot him October 6th. I want to say season opened September 15th or 20th. The urban season's longer on both ends.
Yep.
There were not many days in that 2.5 weeks where I did not hunt. There were some. I was out
Yeah.
of town a couple days. Some days I couldn't get out. I got to tell you, Dan, though, one of the awesome things about early season, you can go out at 5 o'clock.
Right. Workday's over.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can still get 2 hours in the stand, no sweat. So or maybe sweat. I mean, sometimes it was 85
Oh yeah.
degrees.
Yeah. 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 That's nuts. And it's pretty sweet that that season goes a little bit earlier than October 1st, as
Yeah,
far as, I mean, because the true, I'm guessing anyway, the true meaning behind that season and the urban season is to help with just the overall reduction of the deer herd. It just
that's
so
right.
happened that there's been a couple big deer in that area as well.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And so walk me through the moment that he stepped out and
Oh yeah.
you let the arrow go. I want to hear that.
So I'm in this tree. We finally have it had been south wind for 2 weeks, which is so
Mm,
weird. So I've been sitting in the same tree, same tree, same tree, same tree. And then finally the wind switches and a cold front's coming in. And when I say cold front, I mean like it wasn't going to be 85. Like it was hot in September, late
yep.
September.
Yep.
Um, and so a cooler front came in and the north wind came in. And so this area where I think he hangs out a lot, where I know he hangs out a lot, because I've got him on cameras. I go to the south side of it, so I'm playing the wind, and I'm in this tree, and it's a rainy day, and it starts raining hard enough. I actually went, climbed down, got into my truck. I was thinking, there's no way he's going to be moving. He's just going to be balled up somewhere. And then it lightened up a little bit more, and I thought, all right, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now. Climb back into the tree. I turn around, and there he was, rubbing on a tree, and I try to get set, and I had switched my boots uh, that day because they had gotten so rained through earlier that they were soaked, and so I
Hmm.
switched to my insulated ones, so they're thicker, and my climbing sticks are all wet, so I actually slipped on my climbing stick. And now I've been doing saddle hunting probably for 4 years,
Yep.
maybe 5 years, maybe 3 years. I don't know. And I do a good job of keeping my weight on the saddle. So when I slipped, there wasn't any loud noise, and it's raining.
Hmm.
So instead of me kind of plummeting and dropping things and shouting, I just kind of slipped and swung around the tree
Mm-hmm.
at full draw.
Oh, wow. Full draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I use a trigger release. So I just
Mhm.
was very careful to put my finger behind the trigger as I'm swinging out here. I stop swinging, let down, get resettled, and I look over there and I'm anticipating that he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
But he's doing the exact same thing. I mean, it's the beginning of October. He's doing what a bug does in the beginning of October. He's rubbing on a tree, and so he's still just going after it. So um, he is going after that, turns around, starts coming my way, is behind a tree for a while, then steps out, and that was it. He was at about 25 yards. He went probably 40, 30 yards. And that was it.
So I've had one encounter with a
Yeah.
200, like when I say encounter, I've seen him from the tree, but
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
encounter with a 200-inch deer. And I'll remember this date for as long as I live. It was my 30th birthday, November
Oh,
5th,
cool. That's awesome.
2000, 2010. And I hit a 210-inch deer high. And the
Oh,
next year, the neighbor shot him and he was on the cover of North American Whitetail. Okay.
no way.
Yep. And so that number is almost fictitious. It's so big for a
Yes.
lot a
Yes.
lot of people
Yes.
in the hunting community.
Yeah.
When you and this is my favorite question to ask, especially a bow hunter, because of the proximity in which we have to be to kill the
Totally.
animal. What was going through your head when you bent over and touched his antler and picked his head up for the first time?
Like clarity. Nothing was going through my head. It was just like
Yeah.
a moment. Like I could not believe it because I'd had this guy on camera for the better part of a month. I had seen him uh in person
Hmm.
uh 2 or 3 times. There was another one out there that looked a lot like him. Wasn't quite as big, had one of the same drop tines.
Yeah.
Um and so I had had a couple moments already to have buck fever, having seeing him,
Hmm.
which I'm grateful for because I don't normally get bug fever, but it was nice to get that out of the way before I actually had an opportunity to
Right.
shoot at him. And I had been guessing again, it had been my goal to shoot a booner for a while. I had been guessing he was 190 plus. All I knew was he was a shooter and he'll be probably the biggest buck I ever shoot.
Yeah.
Um, and I just couldn't, after having looked at him for that long and thinking about him day in, day out, I had been, I kind of run myself ragged. I wasn't, in order to get my hunting time in and get my work done, I wasn't sleeping as much as I normally do. I wasn't exercising as much as I normally do. I had a cold. I was ill by the time I actually tagged him because I was going that hard trying to tag him. Um,
Dude, that's awesome.
it was a real relief. The
The
one that what do you think happened with the one that you shot? Do you think that he ducked? Do you think that it was just high? Was it
No, that was me blacking out with buck fever
yeah,
and
yeah,
shooting him too high. Like,
yeah.
honestly, he was at 22 yards. The cool thing about it is
Did you
the guy,
miss? Did you just
I hit him high.
yeah, okay, all right.
Yep. And
Then
so
did
just
his antlers did his rack change? Did he look
yeah,
different next year?
he didn't look different. It was the same characteristics, but he was just 200 inches on the button. Like,
Yeah.
he went down 10 inches, and I had
Oh,
been
wow.
chasing that specific buck for 5 straight years.
Ah.
So yeah, huge story, huge story.
Is this a neighbor you're friendly with and you're happy for?
Yep. Yep.
That's
Very
cool.
happy for him.
Yeah, yeah.
And he called me when I was at work and he's like, "Hey, just want to let you know last night I shot Shipwreck." That was the name we gave him, was Shipwreck, because uh, I named him after my favorite GI Joe, and which was
Awesome.
Shipwreck. And so um he called me and he's like, "Hey, whenever you're, back down this way, stop out and I'll show them to you." And he let me touch and feel the rack and
Yeah.
hold it and told me the story. It was awesome. But at the same time, he was telling me like we caped him out, and I have no idea how you did not kill this deer. And so he said,
Like, your
you
shot was actually pretty good?
it was better than what I thought, and I guess it hit top lung and then hit like the way he kind of rolled to like load his body and roll to run away,
Yeah,
kind of rolled the arrow up into the meat underneath of the spine, and so
yeah,
it didn't hit the other lung,
yeah.
and so it didn't kill him. And so,
They're so tough.
oh my god, it's ridiculous. I'm starting almost to get emotional talking about how I don't have a 200-inch deer on my wall. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
here's the real question, Rob, and that is, if for some reason you become governor of the state of Iowa, does that buck make it into the governor's mansion
Oh,
on a
well,
shoulder mount?
I'd rather put it in the Capitol building where people can see it.
Oh, dude,
And
what a
I'll
flex.
tell you, Dan, like, my office is room 111 in the Capitol building.
Mm-hmm.
I have all of my deer in there right now.
Yeah.
And so I like to call it the public sector Cabela's. Like, you and anybody else in Iowa, or from outside of Iowa for that matter, if you come to the state Capitol building, you come to room 111, like, the ones that are in again, my previous best was like, I literally had taken 4 deer between I think 153 and 159.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in there. Um, I think I've got 9 deer in there. I think 8 of them are Pope and Young bucks. So, I mean, it's a fun room to be in and just look around, but as soon as I get him back, I'll have him in there.
What a great representation for the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
You know, because depending on who you talk to, especially in my circles, Iowa is the mecca
Yes.
for big bucks.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. And
yep.
I think that's something that we should be proud of and we should work to maintain, you know?
Oh, that's a fact.
A great
And
place.
that's a great transition, my friend, because we got I
Sure.
want to talk about the wildlife, a little bit of conservation and things like that are important to not just whitetails, but all natural resources in this state. And I was doing some research recently because I knew I had this episode coming up, and I found something that I had no idea even existed, and it kind of blows my mind. Like the background of this. I don't know if you would call it a bill that was passed or a budget, some type of budget thing that was passed, and that's how knowledgeable I am about politics. It's like a budget thing. So
No.
there's something called I will.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And I will it well in 2010, I will there was 60% or maybe even greater of Iowa voters that voted for tax dollars to be allocated to conservation, to state parks, to public land access, to a whole bunch of different things. And so when I hear 64% of Iowans support this, I my my mind goes to, holy cow, I mean, this sounds like the most bipartisan thing ever, to
Yeah.
that
Yep.
many people support this one thing. Well, the Iowa government hasn't officially, it's been 16 years and the
Yeah.
government has yet to fund it
Yeah.
because everybody's trying to put in their own little twist and doing
Yeah.
what politicians tend to do. And that's making stuff more complicated than it needs to be, in my opinion. And so, talk to me a little bit about, like, if you become governor, what's the, like, I mean, you can talk about this specifically, which I would appreciate, and then also
Sure.
talk about like how important like conservation efforts are for wildlife in the state of Iowa.
Sure, sure. Look, I think anytime you can get 63% of people to agree on a thing, that seems to be a pretty clear indication that you should do it.
Right.
It's supposed to be democracy. We've got a democratic republic, but the people who are representing us are still supposed to be representing us. And I think when people voted for that, they said, I want better recreation, outdoor recreation opportunities. I want more conservation in the state of Iowa. I want to improve water quality in the state of Iowa. I mean, that's what that was about.
Hmm.
And we should be making real efforts to that. The problem is, look, I'm going to say something that people might think. Well, let me just. Let me start here. I was a registered independent when I first registered to vote. I don't understand why two private clubs, the Democratic and Republican parties, get to run our democracy. I don't think that that makes any sense at all. I don't think that either party does a good enough job of solving problems to deserve the monopoly they share in our choices at the ballot box. And I think that we should end that. I think that we should have more choices. I don't think that these two private clubs should get to force us to pick between the lesser of two evils. And I think that part of the problem is that they are private clubs. They tend to want to reinforce their own power. And they eventually, if you give them too much power, this is human nature, right? Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. We've had 10 years of one party control in Iowa. I think that's a big explainer for where we are right now. We're last in economic growth, first in cancer growth. Our education system when we were growing up was, cream of the crop, and now we're in the middle of the pack. And meanwhile, in Des Moines, the folks who were in state government who were supposed to be representing us literally passed a bill to make it harder for us in the state auditor's office to find out when your tax dollars are getting misspent. So state agencies now can hide evidence of waste and abuse from us. I mean, it's just unbelievable the degree to which they are really focusing on representing insiders and special interest groups and not on Iowans. But Iowa is a good example of that, right? Here's 63% of Iowans saying, hey, we want to improve water quality, we want to be outside, we want to go outside,
Hmm.
we want to enjoy the things that we love to do outdoors. And, we know that that requires an investment. And yet they haven't done it yet. I think that that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, and instead, what they have done, and again, I'm not telling you, um, that we should put the other party into total control. I am. I'd tell you if you think that it's the Republican Party's had 10 years of one party control. Anyone who thinks that the answer should be giving the other party total control should go visit California or New York. They got problems there too, and a lot of those problems are similar because it's a small group of people who don't have to have real accountability from the people who are voting for them. But that said, what they've been doing in Des Moines on this stuff is they literally took away funding for water quality monitors. Like they've literally reduced the amount of information that we have available to us to assess to what degree we even have water quality problems in the state of Iowa. Like that is such a basic thing to be aware of a problem in your house, to want to be aware of a problem at your workplace, to want to be aware of a problem in society, that if they're not even willing to invest in monitoring so that we know the degree to the problem we have, that says a lot. And I think
Yeah.
we should all take that pretty seriously as an indication that they're not really looking out for us at that point.
I, I bet you if you knocked on every door in the state of Iowa and you said, here's some facts about our current water quality, are you okay with us monitoring the current water sources in the state of Iowa for nitrogen and, any like just bad things, bacteria, high bacteria, whatever? I'm
Yeah,
going to guess
we
100% of Iowans would say we're on board with that.
yeah, yeah. And the
And
idea, and it makes me think of like, to me, I feel like that's an attitude of like, this is what people expect from politicians. Hey, look, if we don't fund the monitoring, they can't get mad at us for bad water quality because they won't really know.
mhm,
And
yeah,
instead, the only thing we really have to look at is beach closures. I'm really tired of living in a situation where uh, politicians are so neglectful of our outdoors that if I want to take my kids camping, I got to figure out which beach is safe for swimming this weekend.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. And I've been doing a little bit of, like I said, I've been doing research on that I Will program that a majority of Iowans support. And because of the lack of, like, it sounds to me like instead of just turning it on, like what Iowans want, they've been doing what politicians do, and that is adding a whole bunch of stuff into these bills that don't have anything to do with conservation or natural resources. And then it becomes this um, party issue where everybody starts to vote on party lines because of all
Yeah.
the other bullshit that's in these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in the idea of simple, clean bills,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. The one that they're running right now on the eminent domain question is a good one. The Iowa House has got a bill that just says no eminent domain for carbon capture pipelines. It's like one sentence. Maybe
Yeah.
it's two sentences. That's the kind of stuff that should get brought up, because it's just a clear statement. And then you don't have people being like, "Oh, you voted against this. Why wouldn't you support that?" And the answer is like, "Well, because there's this other thing in there that's absolutely terrible."
Yeah.
Um, but
Exactly.
but a big piece of this, Dan, too, is again, this goes back to like these two private clubs and how much they focus on making things complicated for ordinary people who have day jobs and aren't
Yep.
obsessed with this stuff.
Yep.
Think about for a moment who it is that gets to decide whether a bill comes up for a vote, right? Like when I was a kid, my assumption was, and when I was like, going through Iowa's at the time excellent public education system, I was like, oh, cool. So you have 100 people in the Iowa House. So if a bill has 55 people that would vote for it, then it must get a vote. And those 55 people vote for it and becomes a law. Nope. First thing they do when they get down to Des Moines, they divide the House into the two private clubs. And whichever private club has more people in it, they pick a leader. And that leader has the power to decide what bills get a vote and which bills don't. And so you can have bills that 70%, 80% of the people who are elected in the legislature would support. But if the leader doesn't want it to get a vote, it doesn't get a vote. The only people that's convenient for are special interest groups that are trying to bribe their way to particular solutions, because then they only have one, maybe two people that they got to give enough campaign contributions for, or whatever, to avoid that bill coming up for a vote or to get that bill to come up for a vote. It's so frustrating.
And so I
I'm trying to be
look
polite.
at
I'm trying to be
going,
polite in my word choices here.
oh, dude, I don't know how many episodes you've ever listened to of this podcast, but being polite is not in how this works, right? So if you say something, you say whatever you want. But according to this, and I'm kind of focusing on the conservation efforts here, that over the course of the last 16 years, that the state of Iowa has lost, or I shouldn't say lost, but funding that never was there is $3 billion. And that's roughly, they're saying if they just turn this on, it would provide roughly $250 million annually to the to conservation efforts, to public land, to state parks, to clean water, to habitat management, all of that stuff. And it's costing the Iowans that want this, not
Yeah.
anybody else. And
Yep.
so that's the kind of stuff that really just pisses me off. Right.
No,
And
that's
so,
exactly right.
yeah,
It's much more about, what lobbyists want, what the interest groups want that are down in Des Moines, asking for stuff.
yeah,
And, if we the people want term limits, too bad. If we the people want reform so that the legislature actually has to represent us as opposed to special interest groups, they don't want to fight for it. But, that to me is a huge piece of why I'm running for governor. It's a lot of what I did as state auditor. Prior to that, I was a public corruption prosecutor in the attorney general's office for 7 years, prosecuted
yeah,
violent crime too. But uh, we have a shortage of accountability for people in positions of trust and power.
yeah,
And I think we need a lot more of that, because if those people know that they're going to be held accountable, then they're going to do a better job of actually representing us.
yeah. I want to get through.
Maddie's reminding me that I've got a 1:00 here, so we got about 3 more minutes to go.
Right. And I'll just ask you the question that a lot of Iowa sportsmen are it's probably one of the biggest questions on their table. And that is how like if you're governor, how do you balance wildlife and conservation efforts and the money maker behind Iowa, which is agriculture?
You know, I think a lot of this is listening to people, right? And to me, I think there's actually a lot of farmers out there that want to have better balance. We are 49th for public land. 49th. We all know that we could use better habitat. Um, and I don't think that that has to be in competition with agriculture. We are always going to be an agricultural state. We were blessed with 25% of the world's grade A farmland, right? But farmers like to hunt too. They want to have places where they can enjoy the outdoors. And I don't see these things as being things that are competing. I think they're things that can be complementary to each other. And I think most Iowans appreciate that. Part of it is having people who are running with an attitude of public service, which I really try to focus on as opposed to politics. Politicians pit us against each other and they try to say, oh, if you're for this, you have to be against that. I think public service is about bringing people together and saying, hey, you like these things, don't you? Yeah. And you over there, you're mad at this guy, but don't you like some of this stuff also? Yeah. Okay, I do. Then let's figure out a way to make this work where we can get ourselves into a position where we're not yelling at each other. Everybody's a little bit better off with the decision that we've made, and then we can go from there. We have been tearing trust apart so much in our social fabric. I think we would really have a lot of advancement if we would get people starting to work together, because once you start together and you build that trust with people, you are able to go further and do more with them after that. But we got to take those first few steps together.
Right. Well, I'm going to let you go. I don't want to, but I'm going to let you go because I got a ton more questions for you, and maybe someday I'll get to ask those questions.
Sure. Have me on later this year. Let's do it again. This was fun.
Yep, absolutely. I appreciate your time, Rob. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day, my friend.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Dan.